Here's a video clip of a sister who began to denounce Delta, began to explain the rituals that she participated in. And following it, I am going to go into the Greek goddess Minerva, whom is worshipped by the Delta. Watch this.
But like if the Qs, which was the brother for fraternity of us, caught us, they could kidnap us, and then they would have to call your license, and they would have to come get you. Like they could do whatever, you know what I mean, to you. Like, you know, you would have to get in the cut, which I mean like take licks, everything. They smile wipe you. They do this thing where they make you sit in Delta chair, which is basically like squats. They sit on you, they spit on you, they hit, you know what I mean? They suck your hair. Yeah. Yeah, like for real. They do all that. I mean, some of the stuff that we had to do at set, I mean, the most demeaning, disgusting stuff that you could ever imagine. We would do this thing called Delta Apple, where we would literally all take and bite out of an onion and like pass it to each other. You know, we would eat dog food. We would eat what else? How else you know, they would like if one of the girls on the line had like the prettiest hair, they would ruin it. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like ruin it. You know what I mean? Now what else? You know, pushing, shoving, smacking, hitting. You know what I mean? You would have to take wood. Wood is where they, you know, they got the big paddles. You would have to get in the position and they would just tag you in, tag you out, you know, that kind of environment.
Now, y'all know my position on those Greek organizations.
Holy of Jacoya Gems, thank you for once again coming back home, family. For those of you that happen to be new here, welcome. I definitely hope you hear something today that will persuade you to stay. If you have not already done so, exactly what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment down below, share it to your social media platforms. So I'm sure you guys heard that. There are a lot of Deltas coming out denouncing Delta. They have stated that the goddess of Delta is Minerva, who is the Roman goddess of wisdom, justice, law, victory, and sponsor of art, trade, and strategy. She is also a goddess of warfare, though with a focus on strategic warfare rather than the violence of Mars. So she's a strategist. And this is why a lot of women whom are strategic and are very smart and analytical are drawn to Delta. Beginning in the 2nd century BC, the Romans equated her with the Greek goddess Athena. Minerva is one of the 3 Roman deities in the Capitoline triad. This is the Trinity, and this is Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. This is their Trinity. Juno is going to be an ancient Roman god, or the protector, or the counselor of the state. She was equated to Hera. So this is going to be your 3 female trinity, or your 3 trinity that you begin to see in the book of Zechariah. You should see the trinity across all of these different cultures. When you begin to look at Jupiter, he is known as the father god, okay? So this is Queen Juno, Jupiter, and Minerva. They were also worshipped in temples. When you begin to look at Minerva, she is a virgin goddess, just like y'all, Virgin Mary. Her domain includes music, poetry, medicine, wisdom, commerce, weaving, and the crafts. So she existed in 2nd century BC, before Christ, as a virgin goddess. So why would you continue to venerate Mary as a virgin and turn her into a goddess? Minerva is symbolized for wisdom and the snake. When we begin to look at the snake worshipped in the Bible by the Israelites, brought into the biblical narrative by Moses as a healer deity who began to bite the Israelites, then heal the Israelites. Minerva was a healing serpent. She was also represented by the olive tree. Y'all already know that the olive tree is all throughout the biblical narrative. Minerva is commonly depicted as tall with an athletic and muscular build, carrying armor and a spear. She is highly revered and respected. Her etymology goes back to Proto-Italic, meaning Maniswo. I want y'all to know Meneswo, Mensi, is used in ancient Egypt. It's important to know that the Greek language was birthed out of Phoenicia in 9th century BC. And this is also during the time that part of the Old Testament was being penned in Hebrew in 9th century BC. Minswo is going to mean in Proto-Italian intelligent, understanding. And it's also important to know that Sardinia was founded by the Phoenicians as well. This language is going to go back to 1000 BC, which was concurrent with King David pushing the Philistines, who are related to the Phoenicians, out of Egypt, which is where Menses come from, to become the Berbers. And so this is how you began to line up the fact that Proto-Indo-European and Proto-Italic languages was birthed out of Phoenician and Philistine people. Let's continue. So this is Philistine. This is African Egyptian culture. So this virgin birth that you see in Greek was birthed out of Egyptians. It begins to say that the myth of Minerva birth follows that of Athena. Jupiter graped the Titanian Metis, Metis. I have some teachings on her, which resulted in her attempting to shapeshift to escape him. Jupiter then recalled the prophecy that his own child would overthrow him. Y'all, this is a biblical narrative that we see with Nimrod and Abraham, that we begin to see with Pharaoh and Moses, that we begin to see with Yahushua and Herod. You see this continual narrative, just as he himself had overthrew his own father, Saturn. It's so much about the Saturn. I want you to know that Saturn shares the exact same root with Sabbath, which means 7. Fearing that the child would be male and would grow stronger than he was and rule the heavens in his place, Jupiter swallowed Menses whole after tricking her into turning herself into a fly. There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. Didn't she swallow a fly? Something like that. So presence in mythology, Minerva was represented by an owl. And we know that owl is a symbol for wisdom. And we already know the worship of the owl leads to some things that we have heard about. Y'all know? Y'all already know what I'm talking about. So when we begin to look at Minerva being worshipped by the deltas, then we can begin to see how this virgin birth is Messianic in origin and how it begins to predate Mary, and that the triad or the Trinity is pagan, and that Minerva goes back to the worship of the serpent. And a lot of people begins to teach that the serpent in the garden is the god of wisdom who was trying to enlighten mankind. So when we begin to look into all of this, we should be able to ascertain the fact that the virgin birth is pagan, that these Babylonian, Egyptian, Greco-Roman practices have been littered throughout the Bible, and this is why they are able to use that book in their own incantations, because they have placed their literature inside of it based off of our captivity in 2nd century BC. This aligns perfectly with when Alexander the Great had taken over the temple, and then in 167 BC, you have Antiochus Epiphanes the Fourth coming in to erect a statue of Zeus, as well as to sacrifice a pig. So yeah, when we begin to look at Minerva, a surgical company began to name their company Minerva, a company that develops and manufactures surgical devices, including endometrial ablation systems, and uterine fibroid resection devices. So, after what she just said, as part of their rituals and things of that nature, Minerva biotechnological companies began to focus on cancer and therapeutic regenerative medicine. And still Sam researches because Minerva is the goddess of healing. Minerva Dairy, which is America's oldest family-owned creamery known for its butter. Why? Because butter is a sign of fertile land and fertility in these Near Eastern cultures. So her attributes also include books, an owl, and the head of the Medusa. So guys, this is the goddess of the Delta. This is Jacoya.